welcome to the deep dive. Okay, so our start today. It's not exactly pleasant. Forget comfortable chairs. We're basically stuck right in the pitch-black darkness of the Saltoun, Vaircripë. It's, 50 miles from Bellicent? And we're chained up with three of the most volatile characters you could probably imagine. You've got a scholar, a black knight, and a half-troll.
Oh, it's more than just grim. It's ancient. This place, Vaircripë, it's massive, carved out of rock. Some say rock ogres built it, maybe the Iliaci, the long-lost ones. But now, it's basically ground zero for all the regional chaos. Part high-security prison, part marketplace for those Ildvaldi and Nagi slave traders.
Yeah, and the scene that kicks things off, based on this source material, it's got to be one of the most, disgusting dinners ever put to paper. Three guys chained up, and they're served these, quote, buckets of a vile, cold fish broth.
Ugh.
Wherein pieces of decaying fish floated in a gruel most unwholesome.
Yeah.
So the scholar, Ventinero, or Roy, maybe, and the Black Knight, they're suitably grossed out.
Understandably.
But Tâghorre, the half-troll, he's just devouring it, with this really unsettling zeal.
Well, Tâghorre he's brutality distilled, isn't he? A pure mercenary. We know he fought in Uronia's past just for gold, but why he's here now, branded and all, it's because he ate a child's flesh, a truly heinous act. So now he's destined for the Ildvaldi slave pens. He's this incredibly dangerous witness to whatever drama is playing out between the other two.
Right. And then there's the Black Knight, Davair. Oh, boy. He is just wallowing in self-pity, insisting he's, quote, burdened with deep sorrow and betrayal. And he doesn't want to be called a knight. He wants to be a teller of tales.
Mm-hmm. It's all very theatrical.
Exactly. So our mission for this deep dive is to cut through all that myth, all that melancholy. We need to figure out which story actually landed this very unlikely trio in this salt-carved hellhole back in 497 HKC. Was it his tale, this romantic tragedy he tells? Or is it the cold, hard historical record? Let's unpack Davair's version first.
Okay. Yeah, Davair's story. It's like a psychological shield he's built. It's very carefully crafted. You notice how every detail seems designed to shift blame away from him and to make him look like this tragic, heroic victim instead of, what he might actually be.
He starts right off with the heroic origin story, doesn't he? Yeah. Last true-born son of Alkane, rightful king of Casdale, raised by some pure-hearted widow in a forest. It's all designed to scream nobility, honor.
Exactly. Establishes his credentials right away.
But then, bam, tragedy strikes. He's 12, kills a cruel lord who is threatening his stepmother.
Mm-hmm.
But somehow in the chaos, he accidentally wounds her, and she dies.
And that detail is crucial to his narrative. It's not just a tragedy. He accidentally kills his only mother figure. See how that frames everything later? It justifies his actions. His supposed inability to find happiness. It makes him a hero cursed by fate, Not someone defined by maybe terrible judgment.
Right. So he flees, gets taken in by a knight-errant, eventually gets knighted himself, pledges allegiance to King Raphael of Daconia. Then there's a tournament in Doros.
Yeah.
He wins a gold necklace, and this is where he meets Lady Creillyce Doirrisina, the focus of everything that follows.
And listen to how he describes her. It's not just affection. It feels almost pathological. He talks about her delicate grace, her hair like honey, eyes like glistening emeralds, calls her like the sun, yet more radiant still. I mean, the obsession is immediate. It's total. Blinding, really.
And then he gets to play the hero, solidify that image. An assassin's bolt sent by the craven tyrant Raphael, of course, is aimed at Creillyce.
Naturally.
Davair leaps in, blocks it with his sword, takes a wound for her. Classic chivalry. And then, according to him, Creillyce confides in him. She's terrified of her forced marriage to Raphael, who Davair also claims killed his first wife, Cecily, and she begs Davair to take her away.
And that moment in Davair's head, that's the peak. He saved her, she chose him. It confirms everything he wants to believe. But if you actually step back and look at what happens next, his actions escalate way beyond just chivalry. We're talking active treason against the kingdom.
Yeah, he suddenly launches this huge political rescue mission, gathers men. Oh, and lies that King Roland is funding it all.
Right, a convenient lie.
To free Prince Amer, the imprisoned rightful heir of Daconia, they actually succeed in freeing him.
Yeah.
And the plan becomes use Amer to attack Grezmere, overthrow Raphael, and, free Creillyce. But this is where Davair says the ultimate betrayal happens. To him.
According to him, yeah. He says he infiltrates Raphael's guard, sees Creillyce again. She's queen by now, but she acts like she doesn't even know him. Crushing, right. But then she supposedly sends him a secret letter warning him to flee. And how does he read that?
Oh, let me guess. Undeniable proof of her secret, undying love for him despite appearances.
You got it. Got it. So when he's eventually captured, tortured, banished, it's all Raphael's fault, the tyrant's machinations. Amer gets executed too, by the way. Davair walks away from his own story as his tragic pawn, just completely undone by circumstance and betrayal.
Okay, so that's the tale he tells in the dark. Now, let's step outside the dungeon. Let's look at the external documents, the actual historical record about this guy, Davair Izizigi, because the truth seems fundamentally darker than his whole tale of sorrow.
Oh, much darker. And the absolute core difference is Creillyce's actual response to him. Yes, she was grateful he saved her life at that tournament back in 491 at HKC. Who wouldn't be? But the historical sources, they're crystal clear. She flat out refused his proposal to elope afterwards.
He turned him down.
Point blank.
Yeah.
So his infatuation, this grand passion, it was rejected. And that rejection seems to be what really fueled the dangerous obsession that followed.
So his sudden lurch into treason, trying to free Prince Amer, it wasn't really about saving his true love. It was more about getting revenge, destroying the man, Raphael, who had her.
It looks that way. He wasn't a hero trying a rescue. He was acting like a spurned, completely fanatical suitor.
Okay, that makes more sense of the next bit. Because the betrayal of Prince Amer, you're saying that wasn't just collateral damage.
Not at all. It was strategic. Davair didn't free the prince out of loyalty or to restore Daconia. The records say he kidnapped him. And get this, he told Amer this lie, that Creillyce and Raphael had conspired to murder Amer's own mother, Queen Nimprice.
Whoa. That's manipulative on a whole other level.
Totally. He used that lie and Amer's grief and anger to rally an army. Basically a bunch of brigands out of a villa, in Nominth, a pretty lawless area. He effectively made himself the puppet master of this whole rebel force.
Okay, that's a huge jump from tragic knight to criminal mastermind. But why lead a rebellion just to turn on the guy you put at the head of it?
Simple answer. The rebellion failed. His mercenary army got routed. Davair probably realized the whole thing was a bust, a liability. So the ultimate treachery was just cutting his losses. He delivered Prince Amer, bound and humiliated, straight to King Raphael.
No way. Yes. And presented himself not as the kidnapper, oh no, but as a loyal servant who had bravely captured the rebel heir. He was trying to trade Amer's life for Raphael's favor. And, you have to assume, for access to Creillyce again.
He sacrificed the rightful king, the guy he supposedly freed, just to try and win over the tyrant he claimed to despise. That is just, wow. Pure self-interest, not romantic tragedy.
So, did it work? Did Raphael buy it? Reward him?
Not a chance. Because Davair couldn't control his obsession, his claim of loyalty was, pretty transparently false. It wasn't long before he was caught, apparently stalking Creillyce, who was queen by then, remember, near the royal bedchamber. And this is the moment his whole story just completely implodes.
He goes public with it, right? Challenges the king, doesn't hold back.
Completely unhinged. He declares, right there in court presumably, that Creillyce is carrying his child, and then challenges King Raphael to single combat. The sources describe the court being just stunned, shocked. But no one was more shocked or apparently horrified than Creillyce herself.
And her reaction must be the nail in the coffin for his version of events.
Absolutely critical. She publicly, strongly denied everything he said, and she called him mad. Her testimony, right there, probably mattered more than any charge of treason. It sealed his fate. Raphael didn't execute him, interestingly. He had him severely flogged and then banished from Daconia entirely. So Davair's subsequent life of deep sorrow and wandering, it wasn't fate. It was the direct result of his own criminal actions, his kidnapping, his stalking, and his flat-out refusal to accept rejection.
Okay, this level of betrayal, madness, the chaos he caused in the Daconian court, it feels like it points to something bigger, doesn't it? Like the whole region must have been unstable for this kind of thing to even happen, which kind of explains why all three of them, the Mad Knight, the Cannibal Troll, the Scholar, end up in a place like Vaircripë. His personal disaster feels like a symptom of a much larger collapse.
Yeah, if you zoom out and connect it to the wider geopolitical mess at the time, you see the whole area is just fracturing. The big one was the collapse of the great realm of Lorelindor, East Lyore. Basically, it crumbled from internal rot.
And that rot was that whole dynastic madness, right? With King Roichar's line, Queen Creillyce Doirrisina, the one who murdered her husband, got into weird arcane alchemy, even tried to sacrifice her own son, Roichar II.
That's the one. That massive dynastic failure, plus the intense sibling rivalry between Roichar II and his sister, Valise II, the Pale, she wanted to usurp him. It just created this huge power vacuum. And nature abhors a vacuum, right? So external forces jump in, invasions from Othrante, from Casedale, and crucially, the rise of these predatory groups like the Nagri and the Ildvaldi raiders.
Ah, slavers.
Oh,
Who run Vaircripë?
exactly. Of this region-wide breakdown of law, order, everything. It became a major hub, a marketplace for those profiting from the chaos, the Nagri, the Ildvaldi selling people. It's the logical endpoint for guys like Davair, failed kings, political prisoners, outcasts from all these collapsing kingdoms.
Which brings us back to the scholar, Ventinaro or Roy. His presence there makes more sense now, too. He sort of hints he might be King Roichar II, or at least someone very high up in the Lyore court.
Yeah, maybe capture, trying to bribe a Nagri captain, make some desperate deal, who knows. But the point is, all three men, whatever their background, knight, king, troll, they've all been reduced to the same thing, commodities in this huge failing system.
Okay, so that brings us right back around.
Yeah.
Full circle, back to the darkness, the chains, the dungeon floor in 497 HKC. For the final, really critical exchange, Davair is still deep in his fantasy, right? Moaning about how he'll never see his queen again, convinced Raphael must have killed her by now.
Of course, he needs her to be dead. It validates his entire tragic narrative. It means he doesn't have to face the reality that she rejected him, found him terrifying, and moved on. But the scholar, Ventinaro, who's just been sitting there quietly listening to Davair's pity party, he suddenly drops some cold, hard, updated historical context.
Right. Ventinaro mentions he's kept up an interest in Daconian affairs.
Yeah.
He knows about the Eagle and Raven conflicts, the internal politics there. And then he just delivers this killer blow to Davair's whole self-deception.
A bombshell, yeah. He calmly states, Rolaine, dead. The tyrant Raphael, also dead. But Lady Creillyce, the woman Davair has built his entire tragic identity around. The scholar says, just matter-of-factly, she is very much alive and well.
Boom. The one thing holding Davair's entire story together, that Creillyce was this helpless victim, slain or suffering, waiting for him, just evaporates. She's not a martyr, she's a survivor, she's alive, and she's free.
And you can almost feel the shift, can't you? That news is like pouring gasoline on the embers of his decade-old obsession. The romantic tragedy just died, and the psychotic stalker is instantly back online.
Yeah, the text says Davair grabs the scholar's wrist, desperate, demanding to know everything.
Yeah.
But we can't forget the third guy in the room.
Right. Tâghorre, the half-troll. He's listened to this whole saga, courtly love, obsession, betrayal, high politics, and he just cuts right through all the angst with his own, let's say, unique cultural perspective. He basically says, Tâghorre thinks you are both terrible liars. Girl doesn't like you because it is buried to sing for girls. Troll girls, at least, like to cleave heads with axes.
Chuckles. Probably the most honest assessment in the whole scene. And maybe the key takeaway for you listening. It's this incredible gap, this chasm between the personal story, the source material from the Black Knight, his account of suffering, and the external context, the history that shows his real motives were obsession, crime, madness.
He spent years, decades maybe, rewriting his own history so he wasn't the villain, only to have some random scholar in a prison cell casually detonate his entire reality. And worse, that obsession, the engine of his life, it's just been given a massive jolt of energy because the scholar confirmed Creillyce is alive and reachable.
So we know where they are. Vaircripë, 497 HKC. Davair, the known fanatic and kidnapper, now knows his obsession is alive and well. The scholar has just given him, maybe unintentionally, a target. We've spent all this time on the knight's story, but thinking about the scholar now, his historical knowledge, his potential royal connections, what kind of story, what secrets and political plays do you think might come out when the light finally hits his past?
That's a really interesting question. What baggage is he carrying into that cell?
Something to think about until our next deep dive.
In the deep and dark of the dungeon's maw, 3 souls in chains did lie. A scholar wise, a half-troll grim, and a knight with a tear-stained eye. Old Davair, bold in darkness cold, his tale began to weave of honor lost and love so bright that none could scarce believe. Sing, oh, sing of Davair's woe, of love and sorrow's sway. In the salt tomb deep where shadows creep, their fates did cruelly lay. The scholar laughed with a voice so dry as Tâghorre ate with creed. Would you prefer my hand as meat, or of the soup take heed? But Davair's heart was burdened so with memories sharp as knives of a lady fair with honeyed hair and emeralds for her eyes. Sing, oh, sing of Davair's woe, of love and sorrow swayed. In the salt tomb deep where shadows creep, their fates did cruelly lay. A prince of old, a knight so true, Davair's tale was spun. Of battles fought and honors won, but his sorrows had begun. For Creillyce, the radiant sun, was promised to a fiend, Raphael, the tyrant vile, whose heart could not be cleaned. Sing, oh, sing of Davair's woe, of love and sorrow swayed. In the salt tomb deep where shadows creep, their fates did cruelly lay. He spoke of rescue daring and bold, of princes and rebellions planned. But treachery lurked in every fold, and blood did stain the land. The scholar smirked, the half-troll grinned, as Davair's voice grew weak. For in the dungeon's chilling depths, his heart began to speak. Sing, oh, sing of Davair's woe, of love and sorrow swayed. In the salt tomb deep where shadows creep, their fates did cruelly lay. O Creillyce fair, my heart's own star, how lost I am to thee. In Raphael's grasp thy light doth fade as I pine in misery. But the scholar whispered secrets low of news that brought despair. Thy lady lives, but Raphael's dead, the truth I do declare. Sing, oh, sing of Davair's woe, of love and sorrow sway. In the salt tomb deep where shadows creep, their fates did cruelly lay. With hope reborn and anger bright, the Black Knight rose from gloom. But shadows in that dungeon's night still whispered of their doom. For in the salt tomb's dreary hold, the fates of men were sealed. And as they spoke of days of old, their final truths revealed. Sing, oh, sing of Davair's woe, of love and sorrow swayed. In the salt tomb deep where shadows creep, their fates did cruelly lay. He spoke of rescue daring and bold, of princes and rebellions planned. But treachery lurked in every fold, and blood did stain the land. The scholar smirked, the half-troll grinned, as Davair's voice grew weak. For in the dungeon's chilling depths, his heart began to speak. Davair's woe, of love and sorrow swayed. In the salt tomb deep where shadows creep, their fates did cruelly lay.